All right, so what's the scoop on the tires this morning?
Yeah, they were all about 39, 40 pounds, probably closer to 40. The sticker on the driver's side door says to set the PSI to 42, so I set all 4 tires to 42 PSI. Inside the garage, which is about 50 degrees, which is not super cold, but you know, we'll see.
So they were a little low.
Little low, right? I just topped them up, and I paid extra attention to making sure I got it pretty precisely at 42 PSI. So we'll see what this thing. I looked at the gauge on the dash, the tire, but it hadn't registered yet. I think you have to drive.
Yeah, I read last night it's about 10 minutes for it to reset after driving.
Right.
So I think you have to drive and you have to wait. It's not immediate.
Right. So if you check it later, hopefully they'll all say 42 and I've done a good job, or 43 or 41. You know, it depends on the difference between my gauge and their gauge.
Okay.
All right.
I'll check it out later. Thanks. All right, it's time to load up. Got a library book to take back later. Thank you, Ruby. Oh, it's just pitch black out there. Just pitch black. Let's see, what shall we pick today? Well, I'm not particularly feeling Grinchy, but let's pick the Grinch. The Grinch and Max. This is our inflatable that we have beside the garage a few years ago, and I pulled Max out separately and then stuck him where you could really appreciate him. So I was just shy of a full 80% charge of 237 last night. I drove 70 miles yesterday between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. We couldn't quite replenish the miles, but you know, this is certainly enough for my needs today. Because I have hot tea in the car every morning, as soon as we get in here and start breathing and I start having my tea, the windows always get a lot of moisture on them this time of year. So I'm always reaching down and turning on the defrost. And that takes care of it within a minute or two. The windows will be clear. So we do have robotics this afternoon, as well as Joey having chess. And then at 6 p.m., that usually ends at 4. And at 6 p.m. we have a meeting for Johnny's trip to Italy in the spring. So what we're going to do is go catch Chick-fil-A over on Fayetteville Street Mall, downtown Raleigh, and maybe see some of the city lights, and then go back over to the school for the 6 p.m. meeting and then come home. So yeah, once I head out this afternoon, it's going to be a pretty long afternoon, early evening of activity and being out of the house today. Cool license plate in front of us this morning. Some of you may not know, but I was born in New Jersey and I'm a Jersey girl too. So we're up to Garner now. We've certainly gone over 10 miles. The PSI is showing 41 for all of the tires. I'll let Don know. All right, guys, have a good day. Mom loves you.
Love you too.
I'll see you this afternoon for robotics. Whoa, that's because of Joey. Sorry. Yeah, obstacle detected, a big obstacle. Bye, bud. I'm here at Kohl's. I've decided I'd like to go in and look around for a minute. It's just after 8 and they open at 8. But I'm so nice and warm here in the car. Really, do I have to go outside to get in the Kohl's? I know. It's 44 degrees here, and that's not really cold, but it is really nice and cozy in the car. So I'm having to talk myself into opening the door to get out. Oh well. You know, first world problems here. So buying a new pair of jeans was never an easy thing for me, and now add in the concern about the indigo dye rubbing off on the white seats, and it's really stepped it up a notch in hardness. So geez, I don't know what to pick. Well, I didn't buy anything. I didn't really figure I'd be able to find a pair of jeans I could deal with. I've been looking everywhere, Guardian Angel, Walmart, have looked here before. Yeah, I'll keep looking. So since the weather's turned cold, Dawn and I know, me from reading on the Facebook X group, and Dawn just because, you know, he does guy car stuff, that the tires are liable to not be as inflated in the cold weather as they are in the summer. Like you could be at 42 PSI on a warm summer day, but that's only 38 PSI on a really cold winter day. So you probably need to add some air in the wintertime. Right. So yesterday I checked, and I think they were reading like mostly 38, which was a little low, and it wasn't real cold, but Don added some air in, and this morning they were reading, he had intended them to read 42, but they were reading 41, 41, 41, and 40. Right. So,
yeah. So anyway, I have a gauge I've had for many years. It's an analog gauge. And I carefully adjusted it to 42 pounds this morning. So her tire pressure sensors were reading a little lower than my gauge. I'm not swearing that my gauge is perfect here. So what I decided to do, I went back and one tire was, for whatever reason, was a little low when I checked it in. I thought I did a good job this morning, but I must have been still asleep a little bit. So anyway, this time I've filled everything up to 44 by my gauge. We'll see what I'm predicting it'll read 42 on her dashboard when she drives the tire pressure sensors, TPS. And I just used a simple, good old-fashioned air compressor in my gauge. And if you're gonna buy you a gauge, get you one with a little pressure release. This allows you to keep it on the valve stem, and to bleed off air, you just push this little button and you can read the gauge as it bleeds off, and that just increases the speed. I mean, it turns a kind of laborious job into you know, literally a 30-second job to adjust the air pressure. You put a little too much in there, and then you just bleed off with the excess down to what you want it to be.
So I'm counting on Dawn having done this, meaning that when we get a really, really cold morning, which, you know, for me, that would be like 20 or 25 where we are here in Raleigh, that I won't start getting warnings that the tires are low. So hopefully we've avoided that happening this winter.
Right. The cold air condenses, so hot air expands. So now as it's getting cold, the air is contracting, and so that's why the air pressure is lower. But I think, like I said, I've always just used this gauge and just treated it as right. So I don't know right now, this is just a little debate between the tire pressure sensors and my gauge, so we'll see. But since she's going to get alarms based on and warnings based on what the tire pressure sensors are reading, we're going to go with that.
So I came out here on the driveway for a minute to talk winter weather and driving the boys to school. First off, all you folks watching in places where there's a real winter, try not to laugh, okay? And for the rest of us, here are my thoughts. So in Wake County, North Carolina, if any of the schools have road issues associated with their bus routes, they will cancel school for the entire county, and it's a big county. And Dawn and I live in the southern, almost easternmost part of the county, and places north and west in the county are where the problem areas will be. So Wake County, for us, oftentimes delays or cancels school when we can get to our school just fine, but other parts of the county can't. Or at least in years past that was true, when we were, you know, 10 miles from the school or 5 miles from the school. So Wake County pretty much always is going to delay or cancel school to a point where I would feel comfortable getting in probably Ruby or one of our vehicles and driving the boys out. But a few times, okay, they missed the forecast, and they haven't canceled school when they should, just like they cancel it and we wonder why. My litmus test for is it safe to drive is to come out here and step on this cement hill part of the driveway. and you either step on it and it's dry or it's just wet, or you step on it and it's slick, okay? So we have two problems. You know, one is, of course, is the road safe? And two, is it safe for us to leave our driveway? If we know in advance there's going to be a problem, obviously we can park one of the vehicles farther out on the driveway and leave from there. It's really only the cement hill that's an extreme problem. But don't be surprised if at some point over the winter we happen to have some icy conditions. It's time to take the boys to school, and Don hops in the Scion over here, the XB, and takes the boys in that because, you know, he says for maneuverability, for lightweight to be pulled out of a ditch, for not impacting me if something happens to it, because most collisions in ice or winter would be, you know, someone trying to stop for a stoplight and they can't, and they just slide into the person in front of them, but they're not at a very high speed. I mean, of course, Ruby would be the absolute safest vehicle to be in, but with, you know, body work taking a long time for parts to be ordered and being expensive, and the risk of the car being totaled because the damage can add up pretty quick, we probably would not choose to take Ruby on a day when there's really any chance for sliding around on the ice. So at any point, I guess, you know, just in my head, I wanted to run by with Dawn, how are we going to handle it this year? Because we're far away from the school, right? We're 20 miles, we're heading north. The time when we leave in the winter, it will be very dark out still, so there'll be no sun warming the roads yet. You know, for elementary school down here, the boys didn't have to be to school until 9:15 in the morning. Just crazy that we send our sleepy high school students to school at 7 something in the morning, and we send our wide awake at the crack of dawn young kids to school at 9:15, but that's just the way this county does stuff. And what they're trying to do is they're using the same buses 3 times. They start with the high school kids, then the middle school, then the elementary. And so the whole bus window is a really wide window spanning over 3 hours to get all of our kids to school. And it's to try to save on having more buses and bus drivers. So I get it, but it's not so good in some ways. But at any point, I think we have a plan. A, hope for no bad weather, or B, hope Wake County cancels or delays so that we're comfortable, or C, Don would hop into XB and drive the boys. I'd probably hop in too so I could take pictures while he's driving, but yeah, we probably would not drive Ruby if the roads were really, really questionable. So yeah, I'm from New Jersey, but I only lived there the first 10 years of my life, and I don't know how to drive in snow, so or ice or any of that stuff. So I just have always avoided getting in the car. I think that's the safest thing. And yeah, so they're still saying a small chance of a snowflake Friday night into Saturday morning, which, hey, it's great if we're going to get some frozen precipitation that we get it over the weekend, right? Because obviously then we don't have to worry about the whole school run. All right, all 4 tires are reading 42 pounds per square inch now, which is the recommendation for this size tires on the door sticker for the car. Don was explaining a little bit to me about tire recommendations, car manufacturer recommendations, that kind of thing, and how they determine what the PSI should be. But anyway, 42 is what he intended, 42 is what the spec says, and 42 is what it's reading, so I think we're good. On my way to the boys' school, I lost my spare time running back into the house and deciding to bring one more device for the boys to program on today. I've got a Nexus 10 tablet, one I gave Dawn for Christmas, God, 3 years ago, something like that. And yeah, because Lego Education now has the coding language as an app. It's not 100% fully functional, but it's pretty darn good. So it'll, I guess, try to talk Bluetooth over to the robot to drop the code. But I wanted to give one more student a chance to have hands-on with the coding than what we had. And hopefully this will work out. Yeah, because multiple kids can take turn downloading their uniquely named, oh yeah, I can't get that point across well enough to these boys, program to the robot, and then go take turns running it on the same device. So Yeah, this should work out good. Since the tires got warm, they've been sort of going back between 43 and 44 PSI, which I guess is still fine. I've been driving 10 minutes, 10 miles, something like that now. All right, temporarily turning off automatic doors again since I'm parked on the street now and probably will also be later this evening. All right. Hey, Joey.
Oh no. Turn.
Oh, yeah, let's keep the wall as straight as we can. Try it again.
No. It just worked. It literally just. Let me leave it out. See what it does now. Then turn that on. Okay, so now it should work.
If you start it really, okay, so sort of what happened there, I'll explain.
And then, no, not the wire. The wire's fine.
We'll make it touch. So I would say that maybe your turn, if it touches, is not quite 90 degrees. It's not quite 90. You're a little shy of 90. So look. So on a positive note, during Robotics League today, the 4th robot that the school ordered showed up. So we're going to have 4 robots to work with going forward. Yay! That's great. I really feel like the kids learn more when they have more hands-on with the robot. And like 2 or 3 kids at the most per robot is what works well. On a not so good note, our little maze program, really, we couldn't get it to work consistently. The kids were not able to traverse a maze. They were still sort of stuck on following the wall, let alone the touch sensor being activated and the, you know, the other things that follow from that. So I asked them if they wanted to work on it one more week, and it was pretty much a unanimous yes. So I'm really proud of them for their perseverance and persistence with trying to get the code to work, because that is how it really is. And I'm going to work on it a little bit at home this week and see if I can't get it to go. I don't always want to start out doing it for them, right? Because then they don't learn. But I don't want their frustration level to be so high that they want to give up. So somewhere in the middle is good. But yeah, I got bringing home a couple of pieces of the wood. And yeah, I'll be working on it some, probably over the weekend. We'll get there. So we're on Fayetteville Street hunting a parking space, and there's a black Tesla Model S. So I found a space where I could parallel park with no problem by myself, because I'm just not comfortable having Ruby do it on Fayetteville Street here in Raleigh. And it's 15-minute parking. I tried to add time to the meter, and we need at least 45 minutes. So yeah, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to move now. Well, isn't that just great? We can't eat at Chick-fil-A because they only are open for lunch. Well, it's been, I guess, since last year at the holidays since I walked downtown like this at night and enjoyed lights. So this is pretty cool. It's a little chilly, but not too bad. That'd be warmer if I'd put my jacket on. It's nice how they've decorated the base of all the trees. Quite festive.
Back and forth to court. The state capitol building to get a look at the Christmas tree they put up.
The official North Carolina state tree. This is the original Capitol building.
There it is.
Of course, the Christmas tree came from North Carolina. Our mountains have a lot of Christmas trees. So Johnny is all interested in these cars that are parked up here on the very top deck. He thinks it's electric. So where do you think it plugs in at? That right there? Huh, could be. We won't touch it because it's not ours, but it says up top, free rides to and from Target. And it's got you there. Let's walk around it and just make note a little bit more of like what kind of vehicle it is. GEM, it says GEM.
It's electric. No, actually, I don't know if it's electric or not.
It says GEM. Well, there's not a lot of room for a motor.
It's like really small in there. It's like a small motor in there.
These are licensed for Alabama, so that's kind of strange. Like I said, the only insignia on it is GEM, GEM. Did you look inside too, Johnny?
Yeah.
Well, it does have a key and no LCD screen, I don't think.
I looked under the wheels.
Yeah?
Here, can I see the camera?
It won't work in the dark, honey. Did you see if there's an exhaust pipe?
This thing's electric.
Yeah, is it flat underneath?
It's paneled, like the lights.
Uh-huh.
But it's basically like flat.
All right, well, we'll run it by Mr. Don.
Very cool.
I like how you scoped out that stuff, Johnny.
I'm being 1 minute late.
Joey's being timekeeper for me. Yeah, we have a meeting at 6. We have 9 minutes to get down out of the parking deck, over 4 blocks and parked. Here's another Tesla Model S. So I believe the people that own the Holiday Light Store in Raleigh are the people that put up this display. That store focuses on wire forms with lights on them, such that you mostly see in this display. This display's been here for years. We stop by every year. Every year they add a little more. It's a sight to behold for sure. Wow, only 91 miles today, really? Just getting home and it's 8 o'clock. It's been a long afternoon. Car says I have 100 miles left. That's partly because I didn't start out with my normal percentage this morning.